The sun had barely risen when Liam Carter, a single dad and night shift janitor, pushed open the glass doors of Crestwood Innovations, one of the city's biggest tech companies. His uniform was slightly faded, his shoes worn out, but his eyes carried a quiet determination. Every morning before most employees arrived, he cleaned the building's executive floors, the place filled with powerful people who barely knew his name. But Liam didn't mind. He had one reason to keep going, his 8-year-old son Evan, who depended on him entirely. Today felt different. There was an unusual tension in the air the moment Liam walked into the main conference hall. Papers were scattered across the table, screens flashed red error messages, and a group of executives whispered nervously as they rushed between rooms. Liam kept his head low, pushing his cart, but he couldn't help overhearing snippets of conversation. "This can't be happening today. The investors will be here in 3 hours. If the system doesn't reboot, we could lose everything. Over $100 million in contracts." Liam paused. He knew exactly what they were talking about. The company's new encrypted operations system, one he had quietly studied every night on his breaks. Books, online courses, borrowed manuals, anything he could get his hands on. Not because he wanted attention, but because he loved learning and believed that intelligence wasn't defined by job titles. As he emptied the trash near the main server room, he heard the lead engineer yell in frustration. "It won't respond, nothing is working, and the whole network is frozen." Liam hesitated. He didn't want to interfere. He was just the janitor. But then he imagined Evan sitting at home, believing his dad could do anything. That thought gave him courage. He took a breath and softly asked, "Excuse me, may I take a look?" The room fell silent. Some executives exchanged annoyed glances, others smirked. But before anyone could stop him, the CEO, Adrian Locke, stepped forward. Unlike the others, he wasn't dismissive. He'd seen Liam quietly observing things many people overlooked. "All right," Adrian said, "let him try." Liam approached the console, scanned the error logs, and within seconds his fingers flew across the keyboard. The engineers gasped. He had spotted something they missed, a looped security protocol choking the system. And then, everything lit up green. The system was restored. The room stood frozen. No one could believe what the janitor had just done. The next morning, whispers followed Daniel everywhere he went. He could feel eyes on him as he pushed his cleaning cart down the hall. Some looked impressed, some looked confused. Others glared, offended that a janitor had fixed something the company's top analysts couldn't. But Daniel didn't care. He was thinking about Mia, her breakfast, her school project due that week, and whether he could slip out a little early to pick her up. But just as he grabbed the mop handle, a firm voice echoed behind him. "Daniel King, the CEO wants to see you now." He froze. The employees walking past stopped mid-stride. Some even whispered, "He's in trouble. CEOs don't call janitors to their offices." Daniel swallowed hard. He had no idea what waited for him upstairs. The elevator ride to the executive floor felt like it lasted hours. When the doors opened, polished marble floors reflected his worn shoes. Assistants looked at him strangely. A janitor had never stood there before. Finally, the CEO's assistant opened the glass door. "Mr. Beaumont is waiting." Daniel stepped inside. The CEO, Christopher Beaumont, stood facing the window, hands behind his back. He didn't turn immediately. Instead, he spoke in a firm, measured tone. "Do you know what you did last night?" Daniel cleared his throat. "I only repaired the system so the reports could run." Christopher finally turned around. His expression was unreadable. "That so-called repair unlocked a chain reaction. Your fix prevented a massive data shutdown, one that would have cost this company $100 million in reconstruction, lost clients, and penalties." Daniel blinked. "Sir, I didn't know it was that serious." Christopher stepped closer. "You used a method no one here recognized. My entire team of experts studied your solution for 3 hours this morning. They called it genius-level improvisation." Daniel felt heat rise to his face. "I'm sorry if I overstepped." "Overstepped?" Christopher repeated, astonished. "You saved us." Then Christopher's voice softened. "Why are you working as a janitor, Daniel?" The question hit hard. Daniel looked down. "Because it was the only job that let me take care of my daughter." Mia needs me home early. She's my whole world. There was a long silence. Finally, Christopher nodded slowly, a decision forming in his eyes. Daniel, I want to offer you something that may change your life. The boardroom was still buzzing with disbelief long after Ethan, the janitor who had saved the entire corporation, was escorted inside. The room, usually filled with sharp commands and confident voices, had fallen into an awkward silence as the single dad took a hesitant seat at the massive marble table. He had never imagined himself sitting here. Not today. Not ever. Across the table, CEO Victoria Hale studied him with a mix of curiosity and admiration. Her company had just escaped a financial catastrophe that would have collapsed 3 subsidiaries and affected thousands of employees, all because this quiet, underpaid janitor noticed a tiny inconsistency that the most advanced algorithms and the world's highest-paid analysts had missed. You said you saw the wiring pattern in the server room and recognized the error? Victoria asked gently. Ethan nodded. Yes, ma'am. I used to build code sequencing systems before I had to quit to take care of my son. The pattern didn't belong. When the alarms went off, I knew someone was tampering with the data. The board members exchanged embarrassed glances. Hours earlier, they had dismissed every warning sign. Millions were at stake, and none of them had caught it. Victoria leaned forward. Do you understand what you prevented today? His voice was soft. A big problem, I guess. $100 million disaster, she corrected. You saved the company. Ethan lowered his eyes, uncomfortable with the attention. I just did what anyone would have done. No, Victoria said. Most people would have walked away. Most people would have assumed it wasn't their place to interfere. At that moment, the door burst open. A small boy rushed in, Ethan's son Liam, worry on his face. Dad, they said you were called to the big office. Did you lose your job? The room softened instantly. Ethan knelt and hugged his son. Nobody, not today. Victoria smiled warmly and walked over to them. Actually, Liam, your dad just became the reason thousands of people still have jobs. The boy blinked. My dad, but he's just a janitor. Victoria's expression turned firm. Your father is never just anything. Then she faced Ethan. Effective immediately, she announced. You are promoted to head of systems integrity, and you'll be earning what your talent truly deserves. The room erupted into applause. Ethan's eyes filled with tears he couldn't hide. For the first time in years, hope didn't feel impossible. It felt earned.